Love God and love your neighbour. It sounds very easy, but we know from experience how hard this really is. But what does the word love actually mean? We all have a different interpretation of love. I presume also if we went down into Biggar High Street, that people there would have a different interpretation. And that's one of the problems in our English language, that this word of love is becoming meaningless. It's lost its purpose. Because we all say that we love one thing or another, that we love certain people. But in another language, in the language of the Gospels, in Greek, we have 3 words for love. The first word is eros. Eros is not a good love. It's a love perhaps you could work out by the name. And eros doesn't appear anywhere in the Gospels. The second word in Greek for love is philia. Philia nowadays has very negative connotations. We can all think of words with philia in them, and we know those negative connotations. But in Greek, philia is a positive love. It's brotherly love, love that we share as friends. And philia appears once in the Gospels. The third love in Greek is agape, and agape appears on nearly every page of the Gospels. That's the most important love. It's love of self-giving. It's giving something without looking for anything in return. The love of agape. If we are looking for examples of this love, we only have to look back at our Catholic history. We all know the story of St. Maximilian Kolbe, how he gave his life in Auschwitz for another man. That was the greatest love of agape, not looking for anything in return, but giving to save someone else. Unlike Maximilian Kolbe, most of us, thank God, will not have to give our lives for the faith. We do not have to give our life to proclaim that love. But Jesus still asks us to love God and to love our neighbour with the love of agape, to love without counting any cost. We have St. Paul's famous words as a guide in how to do this. And St. Paul tells us first of all that love, that agape is patient. Are we always patient with those whom we love? Or do we sometimes find ourselves saying, I've given them so much and they don't give me anything back? And it's easy for us to feel like this. But really, that's not agape. Agape is patient, like the patient love that a parent has for a child. Then St. Paul tells us that agape is never jealous. Are we sometimes secretly pleased when other people fail, especially if we don't particularly like that person? Well, again, that's not agape. Agape delights in other people's achievements. Agape always wants people to succeed, and it wants the best for others. Finally, St. Paul tells us agape is not boastful or conceited. Do we sometimes promote ourselves over and above other people? Do we sometimes jockey for position, doing all we can to be seen and to impress those who matter, and forgetting about those who don't? Again, this is not agape. Agape is the highest form of love, and it's the form of love that Jesus asks us to use when he says, Love God and love your neighbour. He set the bar high. We know it's not going to be easy. We know it's going to be difficult, that there are times when we will struggle. But we also know that it's achievable. We know that Maximilian Kolbe was able to do it. We know that St. Paul was able to do it. We know that St. Mother Teresa of Calcutta, Pope St. John Paul II, and all the other saints who have gone before us were able to do it. So by the grace and help of God, you and I will be able to love with the greatest love, agape.